I started in 1973. It's something I'd wanted to do for a long time, and never knew there were any clubs about in the town. And I was in a band at the time, and a bass guitarist joined who trained. He was a brown belt, so that was my opening. And then I found there was just one club in the town, and I went along, and that's where it started. It was around the Bruce Lee time, and that's when the sort of fad took off, and a lot of people coming into it. So the first course I went to, there were about 100 people that started. But then soon dwindled down to about 20 after about 2 weeks. I knew there was something deeper there.
Kershaw!
The spirit comes into it when you walk into the dojo. When you start training, then you're performing the kata, you're fighting, you're kumite, you're free fighting, you're performing the basics, and you're totally concentrating on just the perfection of the movement, trying to get as much focus in the technique, as much power as you can. And picturing at the end of that the result of the blow. Even though you're training on your own, practicing a punch, a kick, you're all the time visualising the effect on an opponent. And that again is another extension, the deeper side of karate. Other than just performing the punch, you're visualising the effect, the feel of actually hitting an opponent's body and the damage that it could do, which could be quite phenomenal, karate blow. And then you're looking at precise targets, you're visualising all the time, and it's that, I think you enter that sort of world where it's as near as you can to actually fighting, either as performing on your own or with a partner. You're always visualising the end product, so that when you do have to use it, then that's just natural, just a natural thing. You control the technique in karate. With a partner, you've got to control your technique all the time, for safety reasons. Obviously, you can't have full contact. But if you use it, it has to be full contact, and you have to know that it will work when you do hit somebody, and you've got to know where to hit them. You've got to know it's going to have that impact, and not think, oh, I wish I'd hit them a bit harder. So yeah, it's that sort of frame of mind of I think just total concentration. And kata is the term we use in karate is moving zen. So Zen meditation. Karate is moving zen. That concentration on the move, because although you're moving, you're performing the kata, your concentration is totally 100% on each movement and the extending the result of each blow and block. So it's like moving meditation, which is quite a deep thing to try and get over and understand. But it's that concentration, total concentration on perfecting the movement. And I think people probably think karate is something you practice with a partner, but a majority, 3/4 of your training is done on your own, just perfecting the movement. And then when you practice with a partner, then you put those into practice. Then your timing and distancing has to come into it. But the actual power, the focus of the technique, that's all done on your own. That training that people don't see. People generally see, if they see it on TV, it's kumite, free fighting on mats in a competition. But that's only the sport, a small percentage of karate. Most of it's done on your own. So there's so many different levels to karate, there's so many different ways you can approach it, and different reasons people come into it. Some people come in just for sport, just for exercise. People come like myself. I came into it knowing there was more to it and expecting more from it, and all the time I've been trying to delve into it, get further. But I understand that people come into it for the different reasons. A sport and an art, there's that argument between the two. To me, it's a mixture. I know people want to train as a sport, and they do purely want exercise. They want the sort of superficial side of it, really, and that's okay. Then other people's self-defence, which it obviously is, and then the mental and the spiritual side of it, which at the end of the day, that's what you're sort of chasing, and the perfection of the technique. But it's a never-ending chase, you know, like a lifelong job, way of life, and that's the way I approach it, and the way something like a purist would look at karate as more than a sport, if you see what I mean. But to most people, to be honest, come into karate and they come in as a sport on that level, and maybe some of them do eventually start to delve a bit deeper, but you leave them really to get to that conclusion themselves. A lot of parents bring their children along at 7, maybe younger, and they want the discipline, they want somebody to develop their character, bring them out of themselves. If you get lots of children like now, the majority of students coming into karate are very young children, and that's happening worldwide. But there's a tendency for people to see lots of children training and see it as a children's activity, and that is the danger, that karate has that image of being just another sport. Because when you realise what karate is capable of, then it's not a sport, it's not a game. And like I said before, people train at different levels. Yeah, children come in, they enjoy it, and you have to throw a few games in for the young children. But for somebody at the other end, coming into it, an adult coming into it and wanting to learn it for self-defence and the deeper aspects, and then still looking at it as what it is as an effective form of fighting, then that's the image you want, is an overall image, but you want the image of it as a martial art, an effective martial art, and that's the danger of it today, is that it's becoming more of a sport, an activity, and a children's activity.
Me.
I was a brown belt when I really got into competition, but it was never a case of entering just with the sole purpose of winning. At that point, it was just I entered, and when I entered, I made sure I entered everything rather than one event. I thought, I'm there, I may as well enter everything. And then eventually I started to see that I was gradually moving up, started training more, started keying myself towards winning the national championship. And then in competition, what you do is you get people that they just enjoy entering a competition, and you get the handful that really do work hard and they intend to win it. And then they tend to hang on to it once they get there, because they put so much training into it, and it's a case of other people working as hard to get to that level. And so what I did, I got to a point where I thought, no, I want to win this, the national championship, and I worked hard for it, and then gradually worked up from quarterfinals to 3rd place, and then eventually won the title, and then wanted to hold on to it. So I held on to it for 6 years. But then this place came along, and it just takes so much commitment that I just haven't got the time to compete. I'd like to compete internationally, but it's just leaving the place for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. It's quite a responsibility to leave with somebody, a business like this, to do classes every night, to be here all day. It's quite a responsibility. So I find it better to keep control myself, keep here. I'll do my training, but competition-wise, that's I have to call it a day. Competition gave me motivation to get out there and train, and that's I think to me that is the major benefit of competition. Is not that somebody enters to win, or although a handful of people will get a good result, the majority of people don't get a result, and so they can think, well, it was a waste of time, or I wish I'd done better, or I'd enter again next year. But what they don't realise, if they took it seriously, what they don't realise is that they had to put more training in to try and do well in the championship. And I think the more training you put in for a championship, the more training that is that you wouldn't have done normally. And so regardless of your result in a championship, you've put more training in. And I think if you do, we don't do a lot of championships, but if you do 3 or 4 throughout the year, and you focus on doing as well as you can, that means training more, and it's that benefits your training. And so regardless of your result, you may win it. After that, your training's paid off. If you don't win it, you've still benefited by more training that you put in for it. and then you start working maybe for the next one. And I found that was the value, and that's how I came on technically, is the intenseness of training I had to put in to hold on to the championship. And that's a major part of competing. It was never really the result. I wanted to hang on to the title, just see how long I could hold on to it. But I could see that it made me get out there every day and train 2 or 3 hours and just work on the technique, just break everything down and just work over and over and over on single techniques, then put them all together into a kata. I was pretty quiet when I came into karate, and I'm probably pretty much the same now. It hasn't made me loud, hasn't made me different in that way. I think I'm still pretty much the same character, and it's hard to know what you would have turned out like if you hadn't started karate. But character-wise, I suppose I'd still be similar, but I think obviously confident. It's just given me a focus, self-defense-wise. It's given me so many different things. The deeper the meditation, the deeper control. So I think it's hard to say. I think it's just generally now it's just a way of life, and you just follow it, and you don't really think about the effect it's having on you. But I suppose other people you'd have to ask that knew me at the time, or over the years, and what I've become. Maybe best not ask them.